A quality red dot sight is one of the most important attachments that you can add to your airsofting rifle. So in today's video, we're going to talk about 1, why you want to have a red dot on your airsofting gun, and 2, we're going to talk about how to choose a good one and things to look out for to make sure that you're getting the best red dot that you can for your budget. What's up, airsofters? My name is Lane and welcome to the BB Warrior. We're here to help you have a better time both on and off the airsofting field, and if you enjoy videos like this, I'd love to have you join our community by hitting the subscribe button down below, and while you're down there, make sure to hit the bell icon next to it for updates when we post new videos every Tuesday and Friday here on the channel. And as a quick little announcement, BB Warrior patches are in. I'm pretty sure you guys can't see that on the camera right now, but BB Warrior patches are in. I got these through Whoshot first, and they came out better than I could have ever imagined. So if you were waiting to pick one up until they actually got in stock, now is the moment. And worldwide shipping is active, so if you live outside of the US, you can order BB Warrior patches now. So link down in the description below to where you can check those out. It helps support the growth of the channel. It helps me get better equipment to in turn make better, more high quality videos for you guys. Because if it wasn't for you guys, I couldn't do this. But getting that out of the way, thank you guys very much. If you can buy a patch, thank you. If you can't, thank you so much for supporting the channel. But why don't we talk about optics? And there are a lot of valuable reasons why you're going to want to use a red dot optic over something like iron sights. So one of the first noticeable things that you're going to notice when you use a red dot over your iron sights is that you're able to find and track targets more easily because there's less metal in front of your face. Because the dot is just a dot which is inside of a lens, you have some side-to-side view. So you can see people that are coming up on your left or right, or you're more easily able to track your enemy when they are moving. Because when you're using iron sights, obviously, typically there's going to be metal on both sides of your eye. So when you're looking through it, you have metal on both sides of your face that are blocking your view. And this is really prevalent on sights like on an AK because they have that little notch followed by two like big bricks of metal, so it goes like that. And it's really hard to track targets while properly using sights on an AK style rifle. So that is one of the first things that you notice when using a red dot, is that it's easier to track targets. And because you have this wider field of view, you don't get tunnel vision. So you don't just focus right on where your dot is. You're able to see around you. So if you're about to get flanked, you're able to see that better rather than working with your iron sights. And a pretty common technique for using red dots is to shoot with both eyes open. And again, that just adds to not having to worry about people coming on your side, because when you're aiming down your rifle, you can see side to side. You're able to track things on the airsofting battlefield, and as well, you're just able to make sure that you just don't get completely flanked and get snuffed by someone. But that is one of the base advantages I've noticed as a player in red dots. Now, they also give you a faster target acquisition, and you're able to hit targets with less BBs. And what I mean by that is that when you're looking down your rifle and you have, this is assuming that you properly sight in your red dot, which you should properly sight in your iron sights if you're using those too. But if you properly sight in your red dot sight and you know that this BB will land right where the dot is from like 100 to 150 feet, that's going to give you such an advantage over someone who either uses iron sights or don't use their sights at all, because I see that a lot in airsoft, and I think that would improve a lot of people's gameplay by actually using their sights or picking up a red dot, because I know a lot of people that just have red dots for show, or they just don't like to use them. They'd rather use iron sights, or they don't even like iron sights and they just want to like shoot down their barrel like a paintballer. But that wasn't a Speedsoft joke, but there's a reason why red dots are better at tracking targets, because again, that dot on your red dot is going to be trained right at your target. So you don't have to, if you have it set out to a certain range, you don't have to adjust for length, so your BB slowly going towards the ground as you fire. You're able to more accurately put that shot on target, and as well, like we just talked about, if there are secondary targets, you're going to be able to see them faster when you're looking down the optic, because I'm looking through my T1 right now and I can see everything else in the room. I can see the camera, I can see everything else in here right now. So it gives you way better view on your side to side than looking down iron sights, because you are so trained on that rear sight and the front sight trying to match them up that you don't really focus on what's around you, and that can get you shot a lot. So I definitely would advise using red dots in Airsoft. You're able to put more BBs on target faster because, again, you have a point of reference, and that's harder to get with Airsoft iron sights because they're not as adjustable or reliable as a real set of iron sights. If you want to go out there and buy a real set of iron sights for your Airsoft gun, go ahead. I'm not here to tell you what to do with your money, but acquiring targets is faster with a red dot, especially over people that just like to look down their barrel and shoot. So not using this red dot at all, just kind of like tracking your BBs essentially. And I think the issue with that is that you have no reference of where that's going to go. I mean, you know what general direction it's going to go in because you're pointing your gun there, but you don't have like a set in stone, this BB will go right here like you do on the red dot. So I don't like that personally. I see a lot of people who do it. That may be because I play more of a Speedsoft-esque field, and they might think, well, I can put more targets down range faster. If I just have to pop up and shoot in that general direction, it's going to be faster than lining up my red dot and then shooting and things like that. But really, it's going to allow you to put more targets or more rounds on your target faster. And that's really important in Airsoft, especially if you're running mid-caps like myself, because you're not wasting as much ammo. And one, you're just not giving your position away, because Airsoft guns are inherently pretty loud unless you have like a pretty good setup HPA with like a cream-filled banana suppressor or something. But those are some of the reasons why I think the red dots are the most important accessory that you can get for your airsofting gun, because what it allows you to do just makes you such a more versatile player. You don't have all that iron in front of your face, and you have a point of reference where your BB is going to hit, and that is invaluable. And the other thing about red dot sights is they work in the dark. So if you play at a CQB environment, you're going to want to pick up a red dot the first day that you pick up your gun, because if you go into a dark room and you have your iron sights, well, you better turn your flashlight on, because you are not going to see your iron sights and be able to effectively use them. Whereas with a red dot, it will work, and you'll be able to track your targets easier. And they do work, again, very well with flashlights in combination. But those are some of the reasons why I like red dots. Now, why don't we talk about how to choose a good red dot sight? Because red dots are one of those things that typically you get what you pay for. That's something that I'm learning more and more in Airsoft, is that expression is really, really true, which is unfortunate. But talking about good sights, now I personally use a Primary Arms micro red dot sight. This is a T1 style sight, and there is a reason why I chose this. Some other options out there, like the NC Star Optics or the fake EOTechs or ACOGs. And the reason that I chose this one is this one's rated for a real rifle. Now, I'm not saying you have to go out there and buy a real EOTech or buy a real Aimpoint T1, because we're playing fake war, and Airsoft guns don't have recoil, so you don't need to compensate for that unless you have a gas blowback. But I like this red dot sight because, one, it is a real rifle sight, so the adjustments and the lighting on the dot are significantly better than anything that you're going to find from a bargain Airsoft brand. The adjustment for left and right and up and down on the dot is going to be really minute and something that you can really, really get set in place. Now, I want to talk about the dot itself for a second. Now, the dot on like this or a Hollow Sun or some of the affordable actual rifle optics, like what this fits into, they work very well for Airsoft. Typically the dot is really crisp, so you don't have this like huge red dot that is going to be aiming at your target, which is an issue with a lot of products like Valken and NC Star, some of the lower quality Airsoft red dot sights, because their dot is just, again, huge. Whereas on the Primary Arms, I can get a dot like that. And that is really, really beneficial in, one, those really dark environments, because I don't want to have my red dot on all the way and have it just blind me with its brightness in a dark situation. but I can really get that dot as small as possible. So if I need to make that a really, really precise shot, like someone sticking their elbow out from behind cover, I can hit that, or I can hit someone's feet under a building. So I like that these dots have a lot of adjustment and a lot of settings. This one here has 12 different settings from off to 11. So you can really find a dot that'll work for any brightness in any scenario that you're in. And I am saying a lot of nice things about the Primary Arms Red Dot. I think that this is a fantastic sight. Again, it's in that cool T1 style. These clock in at about $90 or so. And that might be a little out of people's price range, and that's completely understandable. Everyone's different, but I think that if you're going to spend the money on your rifle, the two things that you're going to want to put a lot of money into are your barrel and your optic. And those are going to give you the best accuracy and the best performance, again, without having to open your gearbox, because that's a very daunting task for a lot of people, myself included. So the reason why you want to choose a good red dot over a bad red dot is because of the dot size, and you're not going to have ghosting. Now, ghosting is when your dot is either producing a duplicate of itself or it's moving around on you. So when you are aiming down your sight and you look back and forth, your dot should not follow your eye, and that's a good way to test how what the quality level of an optic is. So when I go like this, the dot should not be tracking my eye or following it. It should be staying in its fixed position. You'll still see it as you go like this. So the dot will still be in that fixed position, but it won't be following your eye and moving on you as you change the angle that you are aiming down your sight. And that's just a way to tell if your sight is good or bad. And this is something that you find on a lot of the fake EOTechs. I hate to say that because EOTechs look so cool, but typically the knockoff EOTechs are pretty mediocre with their red dot. It's something that you see a lot of these lower quality optic companies doing, is because they can't produce such fine adjustments on the level of their red dot. What they'll do is they'll throw in more than one color. So they'll throw in like red, green, and blue. So yeah, you have 18 different adjustment settings, but in reality you just have 6 different colors. And there's a lot of like, well, this color works best in this situation, or that color works in that situation. And that's cool, but red dots work. Red dots have worked for plenty of years, and while green is perceived by the human eye a little bit better, throwing in all these weird colors like blue or yellow, it's just ridiculous. And they're just trying to add on some cheap feature to try to sell you the optic and think that it's better than it really is. But I would highly suggest for your airsofting use to pick up a not a low quality, but an affordable AR-15 sight. So I like Primary Arms the most. I've tried some other sights and I just wasn't as big of a fan, but there's things like Hollow Sun, optics like that. And if you're running a gas blowback, you are definitely going to want to pick up a quality optic, because what can happen, and this happens on pretty much all fake EOTechs that I see, when you go to shoot your gas rifle and the recoil hits you, it'll shut off your optic because the optic just can't handle that rattling. So that's unfortunate. I had to experience that a few weeks ago. I was using a gas blowback Masada, and if I didn't hit the person on the first target on the first shot, I was pretty much screwed, because I'd have to fire and then turn the EOTech back on, fire and then turn it back on. But yeah, so if you're using a gas blowback, you're definitely going to want to pick up a quality red dot. And if you're spending the money on a gas blowback between the mags and the upgrades, you can buy a quality red dot sight for your gun. But why don't we recap for a moment? Red dots, are very important because they allow you to track your targets and find them more easily. As well, you're able to put shots on target faster and more consistently versus using an iron sight. You're going to want to pick up a good red dot sight because they are not going to ghost on you. They're going to last longer and have a higher build quality, and the dot is going to be more precise, which is something that you're going to want. You don't want a huge red dot that's just going to completely blur out your target. You want a nice small one that is manageable and will give you a precise spot where your BB is going to hit. Now, I do want to mention, because someone's going to bring it up, well, Wayne, you have a red dot, but you have a fixed front sight. And the reason I do that is a point of reference, because something that I find when I peek around corners very precisely, especially when I'm shooting offhanded, I lose my red dot a lot when I peek around the corner. So I'll peek and I won't be able to find that red dot in my optic. So I keep this on here to know if I am looking far enough into my optic. So like when I am moving around the corner, if I can't see the front sight through the sight picture, I am not looking down my sights properly, and I need to do that because when I peek around the corners, or when I peek around a corner, the way that I do it, sometimes I can screw that sight picture up. So I like having this front sight on here just to do that. Now, I mean, if my red dot dies for some reason, it can be useful. I will flip up my rear iron sight and use that. But primarily, it's just for that purpose, because I know someone's going to ask down in the comments below. But that is going to do it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed the video, again, I would love to have you join our community by hitting the subscribe button down below. And while you're at it, make sure to hit the bell icon next to it for updates when we post new videos every Tuesday and Friday here on the channel. And make sure to check us out on social media. Links will be down in the description below to Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We post different content on there than we do here on the channel. But guys, thank you very much for watching this video where I talk about red dot sights in Airsoft, why you want to pick up a good one, and what to look for when choosing one. Thank you guys very much for watching. I will see you all next time.